Philip Wittebane is really Emperor Belos. That is the only thing that we currently know for sure. Everything else regarding Belos is one big mystery. Apparently, Philip's goal never was to go home. Instead, he's always been concerned with revenge and bringing his supposedly dead brother back to life, who was a clawthorne? Let me tell you what this is all about as we are breaking down the episode Elsewhere and Elsewhen and discuss what all of this has to do with the collector. Philip Wittebane, aka Emperor Belos, was once looking to meet the collector, according to his diary, in order to solicit his help in creating a portal to return home. But just like almost everything else that's written in these pages, that's not true. He said it himself. He wasn't seeing the collector for that reason, and later added he only needed to live long enough to see this particular thing through. If it really was him who created the original portal, he could have gone home anytime. So clearly, Philip cared very little about his homeworld. As we all know, Emperor Belos' alleged main objective is to erase wild magic and combining the two realms. But what for? With all the lying going on, wild magic being dangerous is probably just another story he made up to manipulate others, like Hunter. The reason for his actions lies in his past. Belos absolutely despises witches. During his encounter with Luz, on several instances he sassily complained about being inferior since he does not have a bile sac, and repeatedly mocked witches for being stupid, barbaric, and so on. His opinion of witches becomes even clearer, considering that he named the time before his rule the Savage Ages, even though everything was peaceful and far from savage. On one hand, the hatred for witches stems from the way he was treated as the only human on the Boiling Isles. Thus, the true intention behind erasing wild magic and combining the realms is revenge. Considering that the threat of wild magic is only a facade, in reality, Belos could be about to erase all magic, attempting to rob the cocky witches of what makes them so special. Though I'm not sure he is really in a position to take magic from everyone's bile sacs. Perhaps the next best thing to erasing magic was restricting it as much as possible through the coven system. Alternatively, the idea may be to force witches to live among humans, who are definitely in the majority. In that case, witches will be treated like freaks, the way he was in the demon realm, maybe even hunted like witches really were in the past. On the other hand, the hunting aspect is possibly connected to the second reason Philip hates witches. We know that Philip had a brother, but not what happened to him. Imaginably, he was killed by a witch, causing Philip to be obsessed with getting revenge on magic itself. And here's where it gets really interesting. Philip must have tried every single possibility to bring his brother back to life, experimenting with the glyphs he found, until he came up with the idea to make use of his own body, being genetically very similar to his sibling. So, hoping to revive him or to create a clone, Philip placed glyphs on his right arm and activated them. However, the attempt backfired terribly and turned him into a magical monstrosity. In spite of this major setback, Philip continued his research that ultimately led him to the collector. With the help of the collector, Philip made considerable progress in his studies, enabling him to reach the point when he could truly replicate his brother. The replication is now known to us as Hunter, ironically, because Belos wants to hunt witches. But just look, Hunter is basically identical to Philip's brother. Psst, subscribe to Frogtoons for more content about cartoons and snorses. Incidentally, Ida's father is also highly similar to those two in appearance. Over and above that, the resemblance between his and Hunter's palisman is undeniable. This raises the question whether Philip's brother was really killed, or if he abandoned his manipulative, witch-hating brother and lived a quiet life on the Isles. This in return suggests that Belos, the Clawthorns, and Hunter are all related. What also explains Dana's earlier statement, birds are usually a clawthorn thing, referring to Hunter's bird-like mask. So, in the end, didn't the entire story of the Owl House result from Luz Luz meddling with the timelines? Yes and no. It seems that Luz's encounter with Philip is kind of the starting point of Philip's following success. At the same time, however, it was Belos himself who ensured Luz would travel back in time. Philip met Luz and Lilith during the Deadwardian era and must have come to recognize the two of them in modern times. Back then, he immediately knew Luz was lying about being a crab maiden, and Luz made the mistake of letting him know she was interested in the portal. In the current age, when a young Lilith climbed the ranks of the Emperor's Coven, Belos first realized he had met Lilith before, what means she would travel through time with Luz in the future. Hence, he appointed her head witch to keep a close eye on her. Next, when a human appeared on the Boiling Isles in the current time, he was sure that the human would be concerned with the portal to go back home. What explains why Belos was so eagerly looking forward to meeting Luz in Season 1, to confirm she was Luzura. With no doubt left, Belos kept letting them get away with all the trouble Luz and the others have been causing, to make sure Luz has the freedom to travel to the past. For the same reason, he sent Flora to deliver Lilith's stuff, including the time pool device. All of this needed to happen so that Philip could get his hands on the moon plate and meet the Collector. Well played, Belos, well played.